Hello, my name is Susan Ashley and welcome to my YouTube channel, Susan&Kassandra. This video is dedicated to psychic attacks, something that many of us experience in various different degrees. So I'd like to talk to you about how you can combat that and what it's about, the different layers of it. Before I do, please like, subscribe, do all of that stuff. And you can go to my website, lovelightandtruth.com, to find out more about me. If you'd like an appointment with me, if you feel I can help you in any way, please contact me. And the other thing I'd like to mention is every day at 9 a.m. Paris time, I do a live meditation or co-creation on Facebook, Susan Ashley, energetic alchemist and spiritual consultant, that you can join into and co-create with us the world that we want. It's quite a powerful group and I'm very proud of it. So you're most welcome to join in or listen to the recordings later in the day if you want. Okay, so let's get started on psychic attack. Right, so a lot of people experience this sort of psychic attack that I call mental attack. So it's when someone's thinking about you and it's boring into your head all the time. And they're thinking about you, maybe they want you to do something, maybe they want you to feel guilty, or they want you to feel shame, or they're trying to pressure you into something. Often this happens with partnerships or with parents and also friends. When you say no to someone, that you can often feel yourself being pressured in your head. And that's a form of psychic attack, because psychic attack uses, to the most part, the mental plane of existence in any dimension to connect with you. So it's like using telepathy. It's like picking up telepathic messages from people because they're repeatedly thinking over and over again the same thing. And this can be really hard to sleep. It can be really hard to function during the day. And it can often come with feelings of kind of agitation and stuff like that. So that sort of psychic attack, when it's mental psychic attack from someone that you know, and it doesn't have a lot of power about it. I know it's probably, a lot of people don't like to hear that it doesn't have a lot of power about it, because not everybody is psychically really strong, right? But their thoughts can really feel like they're badgering you, particularly if you said no to someone and then you just keep getting them over and over in your head. So that sort of psychic attack is a typical return to sender type thing. So what you realize is the thought doesn't belong to you. Okay, this thought doesn't belong to me. Return to sender throughout all time, space, realities now. Return, return, return. Or you can say, return to sender, I'm unwilling to participate in your reality at this moment. Return throughout all time, space, realities now. So you can have certain words that you use, but it's really about returning to sender. I'll tell you something interesting with that. Some years ago, we built this house, and because you can get this sort of what I would call psychic attack or full body telepathy in different ways. So my husband said, I want to get some old wardrobes to put in the garage so I can store all my tools and it will look nice, sliding doors and all that. I said, okay. So anyway, he was having a look on eBay to see what was available, and he found some at someone's house nearby. And he said, let's go for a drive and have a look. So we get in the car, we enter this woman's house, and immediately I felt this pain in my stomach. And it was so bad that I was doubled over, and I said to him, you have to take me to the hospital. Now, where we lived, there was a local hospital. It was actually quite a good hospital, fairly close to where we live, like 5 minutes away. And I said, we need to leave now, we need to get to the hospital. By the time I got into the car, I felt that something had ruptured inside my stomach, and that, I'd already had my appendix out, so it wasn't that. So I was thinking something's ruptured inside my stomach, it's so bad. And then Yanni said to me, that's really odd. You were feeling really, really good, you know, when we went in there. And I said, yeah. And then it clicked, because sometimes with these sort of things, you don't realize they're having an impact. You know, when you're in it, you don't realize that it's something outside of you. You clearly take it as it belongs to you. So then I went, yeah. I said, but, you know, you've got to drive me to... By this stage, I was doubled over, almost crying in pain. But you've got to take me to the hospital because this is really scaring me. And so he started to drive to the hospital. And in the meantime, I was holding my stomach, concentrating on where it hurt the most and saying, return to sender. I'm unwilling to process this for you. Return throughout all time, space, realities. Return, return, return. I'm unwilling to let this go for you or release this for you. I just kept repeating this like a mantra over and over. And I swear to you, within 2 minutes, I was perfectly normal. By that stage, we were almost at the hospital. And I said, it's okay, we can go home now. And then I realised there was something about the lady. I was standing next to her. And I got all these then flashes of what was going on. But the fact was, I wasn't prepared energetically to walk into a house and experience that. Like, if I'm going to a house to do a clearing or something like that, I prepare myself so that I don't receive that sort of attack or receive that kind of energy. But in my own home, obviously I don't, because I've prepared the home that it can't come in, which is another story. So it's really interesting. You can pick up these things. You know, sometimes you're walking down the street and suddenly you'll get a sharp pain in your ankle or in your hip. You know, sometimes you walk past the oldies and then you get this sharp pain in your hip and you can't walk properly. It's from them. You've picked it up, because empaths, healers, sensitives, we pick up on the energies around us. And sometimes when you get that pain in your ankle or in your foot, that stabbing pain, that can be something to do with a ley line on the earth. And so you've kind of absorbed it, and now you've got to release it. So that's one form of psychic attack. And it also goes in the mental plane with thoughts from your friends or family members that are trying to convince you to do something or not do something. So that's kind of like, for me, it's a low level attack, right? But it can be really shocking, right? Then the next level of attack is when it comes from negative energies. So it's not someone who loves you that's trying to convince you to do something, or something randomly you picked up from a sick person or what have you. It's actually intentional, and it comes from a dark force. And these sort of psychic attacks can be really frightening and really intense. And I've had a lot of them, and I know that many of you have had a lot of them, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. And it can really cripple you for days. I mean, I've had some that have literally ripped open my aura, and I haven't been able to work for weeks. But one that comes to mind is I had gone to this, you know, often I work in different countries, and sometimes I stay at friends' places because it's nice, you know, I like them, I want to spend a bit of time with them. Since, you know, over the years I kind of prefer to stay in a hotel or something, because you just don't know, you know. Anyway, I was staying at this friend's place, and I think it was the second night I was there, and I'm laying in bed, and the next thing, this beast went for my throat. It literally had its hands around my throat and was choking me, and I couldn't breathe. And it was saying, you know, I'm going to kill you, like this. And it was demonic. And I couldn't, I was like this. And it was really scary, because I kind of woke up in the night with this thing looking at me, and then it just dived for me. So in fact, it wanted me awake for the experience. And I, you know, obviously I was in shock, and I immediately, because what they do is they try to scramble your brain so you can't think clearly. And when you can't think clearly, and I couldn't talk, you know how you have those psychic attacks where they kind of disable you when you can't talk? So I couldn't yell out or anything, and I could feel it starting to scramble my mind, to disable my mind. So I started to, interestingly enough, sometimes you can just say no and that will work, but in this instance, because it was extremely demonic, I started to think about the Lord's Prayer and Jesus, and I started to recite the Lord's Prayer in my mind. And I think by the time I got to the second, like halfway through the second round, it just vanished and everything was fine. And so what we tend to do is we call in the beings that we work with. We call in our guides or whatever. But the best thing to call in is that Christ consciousness, because that holds the universal lords, and they actually don't have a right to do that to you, in fact. So that will stop it. But one of the other things you can do, if it's not as physical as that, as profound as that, because that's really, I've had other ones like that I've spoken about, which, it's pretty hairy. But if it's like the demonic, in the sense of it doesn't allow you to, it's trying to wear you down, doesn't allow you to sleep. It's telling you that you're a worthless piece of shit. Nobody wants to listen to what you've got to say. You're imagining things. You're delusional with regards to your work, You're delusional. You aren't having an impact. You get all this crap. And that can really wear you down, and it can really put you in a vibration of questioning what you're doing, wanting to give up and all this sort of stuff. And, there's been times where I've sort of said, I don't understand. I just want to get off this train. Anyway, when that happens, what they're doing is weakening your energy field. They're weakening your auric field, and they're weakening your connection to the Christ consciousness, or to God, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it Christ. Anyway, they're weakening your connection to that. And so the best thing to do, because they're trying to invade and hook into you this really negative frequency that's like a band wave that we all ride on, the best thing to do is to just sit and think about someone you love, or something you love, or a loving experience that happened for you. Now, that can be hard for some. I know for myself, I had a very tumultuous childhood, and it was at times extremely unpleasant. Didn't have a lot of loving connection, we could say, apart from my grandmother and my animals, the animals that I had around me at times. So when I had, so before that I would think of them, I'd think of my granny, I would think of the animals that I loved. And when you think of something that you really love, or someone that you really love, you start to concentrate on that, and that builds up and the darkness leaves. So what you do is you start to change the energetic pattern they're trying to gift you. They're trying to gift you this and place you in this vibration. So that can also work. As I spoke about, you can actually say, in the name of Jesus Christ, leave now 3 times, because in universal law they have to leave. But psychic attack can be at various different degrees, and it can be really scary, and it can be things that take you days to get over. Now, let's go into protection, because they're the things you can do when it starts happening or it's happening to you. So particularly if, for some, at night, when you're doing something, suddenly you'll feel this presence. You might feel a dark presence around you, or like, at the moment you might be feeling that dark grid that's being created, opposing the light grid that's being created at the same time. So you can feel a sort of like a pressure, an overlord of darkness. It sounds like a movie, doesn't it? But it's like an overlord of darkness, and you can feel it. And you can feel that you just want to kind of hide away and not be seen. So that's the time that you really need to breathe into your heart. Think about someone or something that you love, And, obviously mine has evolved because I've, gotten married, I've had a son, my life has completely changed. I have good friends in my life that create a lot of love for me. And my son's birth was tumultuous, but when he was born, my heart just exploded open. I've never felt anything like it, with this love, this bliss. It's almost like a Kundalini experience. It really cracked me open, and I'll never forget it. So that's the place I go to now. I connect with the love, the bliss that I felt at that time. And I remember holding him for the first time and feeling that connection. And when I feel that, everything else goes. It's like it just melts away. And then I start building on that. And from that, I can connect with the higher beings that work with me. Because sometimes these demonic beings, they try to break the connection that you have and make you feel like you're really isolated, that you're all alone, that you're worthless, and nothing's going to help you, and nothing's working. Because they do stop your work, they hinder things. Like, I'll have people who make an appointment and I'll tune into them and I can feel, there's something really negative about this person. It's not them per se, it's what's around them and what they've experienced that's been placed inside them. And if I start tuning into someone, invariably they'll cancel the appointment, they'll have problems getting to me, there'll be a lot of problems and difficulties, and it could be the third time that they actually make it. And people often feel very embarrassed by that, and they end up by not coming back because they're so embarrassed at the fact that they weren't allowed to show up once or twice. And that's a big mistake you make, because some people go, oh, well, it's not right for me to go, but maybe there's an opposition to you going, and I've experienced that myself. So I'm okay with that. I don't get upset or angry when these things happen, because I'm very aware, I know why that's happening. So now I tend not to tune into people too early, before an appointment. I tend not to do that anymore. I just leave it as it is. Because it kind of gives the darkness that may be around them the opportunity to hold them back and stop them from coming. So that's one thing. And I know that the love factor has a lot to do with it. And I know that a lot of people haven't really experienced true love or what love is. So it can be hard to place that, because we've been conditioned to believe that items and things are love, and even that people are things, they're possessions. So we have a warped understanding of what love is. So you've got to think of times when you felt, really close to someone, or you just felt totally relaxed and blissed out. Those magical times floating on the water where your whole body has relaxed and you feel one with the water or one with nature. Nature's always a good place to go to when you're feeling under attack, because when you start to feel one with the nature, that connects you to that God force, to the Christ consciousness, and then that starts to grow inside you. And that can stop the psychic attack pretty fast, So it's like amplifying the good, but sometimes it takes a little while to source what that trigger is for you to amplify. Now, some people don't sleep when they have this sort of thing happen, and so that's why I gave those other techniques. And sometimes you're not sleeping for protection as well, because there are times in moon cycles when a lot of rituals are going on and the dark force is really strong, that it's not actually appropriate for you to be in the astral, in the dream state. Because normally when we go to sleep, we travel into the astral and then we go into the higher realms. So the astral is often one of the first places, or the mental plane, which can be really heavily used to attack you. So that's part of the reason why you might have cycles of not sleeping. It could be that you're being protected. Now, in other times, it could be that you are actually being attacked and prevented from falling asleep or being asleep because they want to wear you down. And that's when you know your mission's really big, right? And you're on the right track. when that happens to me, I tend to go into the present moment. I start to call in all the beings before I do go to sleep, and I ask for an upgrade. So let me just go into that for a second, because this is a huge area of information, psychic protection. And I call it psychic because, remember I said under the fifth, it's psychic energy. It's not necessarily spiritual energy that runs it. Yeah, the spiritual's in everything, but it's psychic that runs it. So what happens with going to sleep can be really a hard thing when you're being attacked through the mental plane and the psychic energies. Anyway, what most people do when they want to use protection, and this is something I found out a long time ago, because when I started learning, there was no information around apart from the fact use the light, right? Like I've said before, there was no internet. I'm, pretty much a crone here, so really old to some of the young people, really ancient. Anyway, so we were told use the light, and as it progressed, I kind of figured out that probably wasn't a good thing, because when you're in that process of duality, so dark light, you think, okay, I'll put all the light over me, I'll cover myself in light, and then that will keep them away, or I'll use those mirrors and all that. And then you find that you're probably getting more attacked and it's not working, and it's not working because you're making yourself more visible. It's hilarious, isn't it? You're actually making yourself more visible. So what the darkness goes, ooh, yeah, she's got the mirrors up, she's got that light wall up, ooh, something's going on, let's go have a look what's behind that. And then they try to bash it down. So you're actually making yourself a target. The light is good when you're going for an interview or you're with your friends and you want to sparkle, that's great. But, if you're walking down the street or you're going to somewhere where you feel unsure, it's probably not a good idea. Now, if you recall, I mentioned that I worked with this shaman for a few years, and he taught me a lot of things, and one was to shape-shifting. Now, he shape-shifted in front of me, actually, into a wolf. And I've got to say that literally blew my mind and split it. And it took me some time to get over it. I am not capable of such a thing, but I am capable of shape-shifting my aura, let's say. So what I do is I put different colours in my aura when I'm going out to different things. So I use either really, really dark blue, like midnight blue, or indigo or deep purple. They're the three colours I use. And this is what he taught me. That will make me invisible. He taught me how to be invisible. And what I'd have to do was I'd have to go down a street, like he would be standing at the end of the street, and I'd have to walk down the street where, like a cafe and that everyone knew me. I lived in an area of Sydney where we were all artists and, very different types of people, and we all knew each other. We'd all meet for drinks in the evening. Well, not alcohol. I've never been strong on alcohol, but we would meet in the evenings, and he would make me walk down there using these techniques to make me invisible. So I'd have to walk through and past the people that knew me really well, that they wouldn't see me. And it worked, right? And I've taught this to children who are getting bullied. It's really interesting. This plus something else. I might actually do a video on that, because I think a lot of kids who are empath sensitives, who have that strong light, they get very bullied. So what I do is I visualise myself wearing a cloak, like Darth Vader, with a cloak over my head. It goes over the front of my face. I put my hands in the sleeves. It goes down to the ground. So I'm completely covered in this colour. And I really feel it. That's the trick. You have to really, really feel it. And I can feel my light inside it. But this is really close to my skin. It's on my skin, So I'm really getting this feeling of it, the sense of it. That's the trick, right? So I'll go to these. One of the things that I really dislike doing is going to these psychic fairs, you know, these body, mind and spirit things and everything, because there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of friggin' psychic attack in those places and manipulation. People are all using techniques to get you to buy, to, you know, get a reading from them, purchase something, order a healing, whatever. Not everyone is like that. I'm not saying everyone's like that, so please don't hammer me if you're not. It's not that. It's just that you and I both know that there are plenty of people that are. Right? There are people that are beautiful, they're extremely gifted and talented, and their table's friggin' empty, right? But the few people that they see, they work wonders with. And then you've got other people who, you know, they don't, I'm just telling you, they use techniques to draw you in, and it's unfortunate. But what they do, one of the things that they do, like, this really pisses me off, right? So you're standing, you go, I know, you'd go with friends, you know, and you go up to a stall, and then I remember this woman once who was quite well known. She came up to me. Actually, she was working with John of God. That's a whole other story. She came up to me and she grabbed this crystal that she wanted to sell for like, I don't know, $460. And she placed it on my third eye without me giving permission. This really annoys me. Placed it on my third eye and she goes, your third eye is completely blocked and you need this to save yourself. Seriously, this is what she says to me. I'm like, actually, no, it's not. And thank you, goodbye. Or they come up and they say, oh, I'm picking up something about you. So someone starts invading your space and telling you they're picking something up about you, that, you know, what they're trying to do is overpower you and sink you into buying their wares and letting you know they're more stronger than you. They're trying to manipulate and control you. And as soon as someone does that, I'll immediately go, I need to go to the bathroom, and away I'll go, right? So, but the interesting thing is, if I put my cloak on and I go, they don't even notice me. They don't even care who I am, right? They don't even get it. And it's wonderful because I can just go about my business. I'm just the, you know, woman just down the road. I go about my business. I do what I want in silence. And I have none of that. People trying to invade my space because I'm a light that they're attracted to and they want to control it. And that's what I do. I do the shape-shifting with my aura. And there are other colours you can use for different things, but I find those three colours the best. And they will really help for you. But the thing is, like, you might try it a few times and then go, that shit doesn't work. Well, like I said, you have to feel it. You have to put it really on you. You have to feel it on your skin, you know. The more that you can feel something, the more that you anchor it into the physical. Because every manifestation is spiritual, energetic, mental, emotional, physical. So you have to really feel it. You see it, you feel it, you do all of that. Even if you know, get out a cloak and try it on, or go into a second-hand shop and try it on and get the feeling, oh, there's a bit of weight here, you know. Get the feeling of what it feels like to be completely covered like that. It's a very interesting thing to do. So that's one thing you can do. Yes, you can shine your light, darlings, of course you can, but it will make you a target if you're doing certain things, you know. And look, I've seen so much psychic attack go on in this new age, whatever arena, that it's disgusting, to be honest. It's really disgusting. And these people don't even realise that that's what they're doing, because for me, psychic attack is psychic invasion. So that's the first element that I spoke about. It's when people try to invade your mental space with their desire around you, right? It's very damaging, it's really unpleasant, and you just return it to sender. Okay? The next one, you use the love, you use the Christ consciousness, you can use the Lord's Prayer. There's other prayers that people use, but get that ready, because when you're under that sort of attack and your mind you can feel it. It starts to get scrambled when you're frozen, you can't talk, you can barely breathe. You have to quickly, really quickly think of the Lord's Prayer or something like that. Or Jesus Christ, come to me now, right? You've got to call on those beings. Because this is really important. And then feel the love in your heart. Remember something that's really loving and kind, and then let that grow. Breathe it in, let it grow. And then it will disappear, because it can't live where love is. And you know, because of some of the teachings where they say, but it's the initiation of darkness is what goes on. So if you're starting and everyone's saying to you, oh, you know, just feel the love, just connect with that, nothing bad can happen to you, and then something bad happens to you and you feel, oh my God, I didn't do it right. No, it's an initiation. We all get initiated into the darkness, into negativity, so that we understand what it is and we can flex our spiritual and psychic muscles. There's no point in having these muscles if we don't flex them every now and again. It's a challenge, it's a test, it's an initiation into the knowledge of duality. That's all it is. And as long as you remember that, nothing can hurt you. But psychic attack does exist and it is real. And unfortunately, a lot of good people are doing it because they feel they know better for you than you do. You know, you see these people, they go learn something on a weekend and suddenly they want to heal everyone and they know what's best for you, and they're invading your space. They're not allowing you to ask. One of the things I learned really early on in my career is allow people the empowerment to ask for what they want. And it's really hard when you are like this, because you know your friend comes and they're telling you all this stuff that's happening in their life, and you know the answer, you know the solution. And you can't give it unless they ask. And one of the things I would say to people is, do you want my opinion as a friend, or would you like my professional opinion? So I allow them to see that I've drawn a line here. So if you want my professional opinion, you may not like it. But if you just want me to be a friend at the moment, everything's cool, everything's okay, right? And then if you can hear people's thoughts like I do, not all the time, I'm not reading people's minds or anything, but sometimes it's kind of obvious. You know, you meet someone, your friend in a cafe, and I can hear them wanting to ask me a question. I can hear it, you know, I can hear it in my head. They really want to know. And I don't do it. I don't just start doing it, because I was taught very early the biggest gift you can give someone is to empower them. And sometimes the way that you empower a person is by allowing them to ask, to find their voice. And so on that, I'm going to leave you. Please subscribe to my channel and share it, because it's my mission to demystify the darkness and give it no power and strength on this planet, and to amplify the goodness, the light, the love. And I know that some people find it odd that I talk about the darkness, but why am I demystifying it is simply to amplify the love and the light and the truth of what truly exists. And in order for me to do that, I've got to scrape away all of this illusion, because it's an illusion. And the more information you know, the safer you will be. So on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Have a fabulous day. Join in the meditations while they last, because once this confinement's over, I will stop them. And next week we will be doing, every Thursday we do a special healing or activation. And next week, next Thursday, we will be doing an activation of a gift that you have from a past life that you've been resisting ownership of. So love and light to you all. Happy days, and please don't forget to share. Bye for now.